3 trigger warnings, and then you're like, okay, and then they actually happen in the book and you're like, oh shoot, like I did not know that was gonna happen. Hello besties, it's Keira. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video we're going to be doing my April wrap up. I read a total of 8 books, but I actually DNF'd 2. I'm just going to be talking about my thoughts, my ratings. I think most of these I read pretty much in the 2 reading vlogs I did for the month. I'm just going to be brief and quick on my thoughts because I went more in depth and all that in those videos and I don't want to be too repetitive. So before we get into it, I believe her name was Emily, but someone commented a few months back and was like, why don't you do a comparison of like your month's TBR to the actual TBR that you read. So basically I'm gonna check the 7 books that I put on my TBR for April and see how many of them I read. I feel like I did pretty good to actually sticking to my April TBR. I'll put the 7 books up in the screen here, and I read every single one but one of them. I mean, one of them was technically a DNF, but the only one I did not read was Story of My Life by vsco. I think it's a fun little stat, so thank you Emily for commenting that. I finally got around to doing it. Make sure to follow my socials down below, goodreads, my Amazon wishlist, stuff like that. So down there if you want to check it out. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos by me. And let's just get right into it. These first 2 books are in my first reading vlog, which was reading books with blue covers for the week. But I also started the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, which I did end up DNFing, I think about almost halfway through. I talked a lot about it more in that video, but I just didn't like it. The other 2 books that I read, we'll quickly go through. Funny Story by Emily Henry. I ended up giving this a 4.5 to 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I didn't have like too much complaints about the book. It was fine. I liked the first 100 pages, learning about the 2 characters and their predicament. Basically, the whole kind of premise I'll quickly talk about is about Daphne and Miles, and both of their significant others leave them for each other. Daphne's fiance confesses his love for his childhood best friend, and his childhood best friend was dating Miles, male main character in this book. So they find themselves thrust together, living together, and just dealing with the whole situation together. I liked both characters, Miles and Daphne. I related a lot to Daphne and just like her inner monologue. And yeah, they sparked a little bit of like a friend situation, then it came a little bit of friends with benefits. The only complaint was like the lusty talk towards like the middle-ish, but then kind of went away and the plot came back into play. It's just something different that I've never read from before. 0.5 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend this. And then the second book that I read for that video, I don't know if I finished it. Quicksilver by Callie Hart, 5 stars. This book just was incredible. And I don't even have a way to explain all my thoughts about this book because it literally just came out of nowhere. It's like there's just a lot that happens in this book with like world building, characters, content. Like there's just a lot. I just didn't realize how much I loved it until I finished it. It just like it kept getting better and better as I read it. You just have to read and go along with everything that is this book. Basically it's about this woman named Cyrus. She ends up like taking this sword and it brings her into the Fae realm, and she finds out that she can help them in some way. There's just like a lot more than that, and I love the found family. I love the characters, and just Kingfisher is all I'll say. Yeah, it's just like something that I haven't really read like before, and I am so excited for the next book in the series. I love the writing style. It was long, but it felt like really quick. I mean, I feel like I'm not telling you guys too much, but I feel like you just need to like pick this up and read it for yourself. 5 stars, so recommend. All right, next up, I believe this book was the book I read in between my reading vlog videos. So I picked up Sunlight by Devney Perry. This is the second book in the Haven River Ranch series. I believe it's only going to be duology. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. So this is an accidental pregnancy book, which usually I don't like. This one actually like wasn't too bad. I don't really remember much from this, but I gave it 4 stars. I just remember it being quick and it didn't focus too much on the pregnancy, which I like. I feel like some you literally are just like following the character in her pregnancy and it's like all they talk about, and I get that that's what the book is supposed to be about. I just remember both characters being very sweet. It was just quick and very digestible. I mean, I don't have too much to say about it. I love Devney Perry. Like her books are just so quick, just so fun, and give the best vibes. So 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, these next 3 books were actually in my Instagram chooses video. So basically I did a video where I had my Instagram story, Instagram following, choose the books that I read for the week. The first book was Unloved by Peyton Corney. This is the second book in the Unsteady series. I'm not really sure. First one is Unsteady. The covers of the series are so adorable. This is basically like a college hockey romance, and what I like about these is that they're very emotional. If you know me, I love anything that's like an emotional romance. So this is about Freddie and Ro, and basically Freddie has like some learning hardships and disabilities that are causing him to like not do well in school, and if he wants to like be in the NHL and like pass and everything, he needs to have good grades, and that's where Ro comes in, and she's gonna be his tutor. So it's like a tutor athlete type of romance, which I always love. I ended up giving this a 4.25 out of 5 stars. I will say at least half of this book, or a lot of this book, takes place around the same time as the first book, so I felt like it did get very repetitive at some points because it was focused a lot on what happened in that first book, and I get why she did that because you have to see the development of these two characters, and it tends to happen at the exact same time. But sometimes I just wasn't like interested because I already knew what happened. Other than that, I really liked both characters. I felt like they kind of had like a friends type situation, which turned into like a little bit of like a friends with benefits. They really ended up caring for each other, and they both just had really emotional backgrounds and a lot going on with them, and it was just nice to see them both be able to talk about their issues with each other. I flew through it. I really like this author's writing style. I definitely recommend this duology if you like hockey romances. 4.25 out of 5 stars. Next up was Make You Mine, Laura Pavlov. So this is the third book, I believe, in the Honey Mountain series. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. So this is about Ashlyn, who is one of the sisters. Basically, the series is about 5 sisters, and it takes place in Honey Mountain, and they all get their own romances. And she's like the one who just kind of got out of college, I think, and just graduated and is trying to figure out what she kind of wants to do. That's where she ends up nannying for a single dad named Jace, and he's like one of the firefighters. Ashlyn's like, yeah, like I can nanny for you. I really like the kids. I've grown up and around the kids like a lot because of like the found family, and they're all just really close in that sense. It's one of those books where I didn't have too much to say. I will say like the first maybe like 100 pages was very repetitive because they did talk about their attraction and all of that a lot, but like once they got together, it died down in that aspect, and I just really liked both characters. I feel like they balanced each other very well. Her being like the sunshiny character and him the grumpy, and she just really liked the kids, had a good relationship with them, and really just like cared for Jace, and Jace really cared for her. The series is really fast, really easy, small town romances, 4 out of 5 stars. And then the last book, I don't think I finished in that video, but I did start it, and it was the Book of Azriel. So I ended up giving this 4 stars, and I didn't know too much going into this, to be honest, but my best way to explain the plot that's like not giving too much away is people consider the gods and people consider the monsters, and the female main character Diana is considered a monster. She and her like ruler, I guess, are looking for the Book of Azriel, which has a lot of information about different things and how to, I guess, kill the most powerful god or kill the gods, something along those lines. And when searching for it, she ends up summoning this guy named Samkael, who is a god that is still alive, and he's been kind of like living off the grid for a very, very, very long time, and they end up finding themselves having to work together. That's all I'm really gonna say. It was just a lot different from anything that I've ever read from before. It's more of like a darker fantasy. Like definitely check up trigger warnings. I mean, I did, but I still was like, oh. You know when you like read trigger warnings and then you're like, okay, and then they actually happen in the book and you're like, oh shoot, like I did not know that was gonna happen. You did. I felt like it was very long. There's just a lot of information and a lot of words, I feel like, on each page and in each chapter. And I don't know, there was just something about the romance I just didn't feel connected to. I don't know, I didn't feel the connection necessarily between the two characters. And the ending was like, oh my god, I'm gonna continue the series. It definitely was just different, and maybe that's why I'm like, I don't really know how to feel, but 4 out of 5 stars. Alrighty, and then the last, technically 3 books, because I DNF one. So I read Delicate Escape by Catherine Cowles. This is the second book in the Sparrow Falls series, and this is about Shepard and Thea. Yeah, basically the series is like romantic suspense books. I think like all of them have some kind of suspense aspect to them. Fun, quick, easy books to read. Those are like my favorite kind of books. Basically, Shep is like one of the brothers. So basically this series is about the Coulson family, and 2 of them are actually like blood related to the mom, and then the rest of them are like foster kids. He, as like a child, got like left at a firehouse type situation, so he was basically abandoned. That takes like a really big role in his story. Like he has a lot of trauma around the fact that he was abandoned. He's a construction worker, he has his own company. Thea, I won't go too much into her story because you learn as you read, but she had to move to this town to get away from everything. That's all I'll say. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I just wasn't as interested in these two characters as I thought I would be. I just didn't really connect to them or plot. That's pretty much all I have to say. Can't wait for the next book though. I think it might be my favorite in the series. 3.5 out of 5 stars. Alright, and then quickly, the book that I DNF'd was The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. I DNF'd it at page 119. I was about like 33% of the way through. All I'll say is like, it's about two characters that I just don't really care to read like their own individual book and story. I wasn't interested at all. And I looked it up. You don't technically have to read that series. I don't know what it's called. I was supposed to read that before I went into, I think it's the Infernal Devices series, and I'm not missing any key information if I skip the series. We made it to our very last book of the month and for this video, and it was Body Check by Elle Kennedy. I mean, I don't even know where to start because I feel like what did I even read? I gave it 2 stars. This is not new. This is not like a new book by Elle Kennedy. She didn't like just release this. I believe she already had it and it got republished. I think it was originally like a short story and she added some content to it. This is about Hayden and Brody. Hayden is like a college professor, but she comes back to, I believe it's Chicago or something, because her dad owns like a hockey team, like an hockey organization or whatever, and there's a lot of bad press going on. And she basically has a one-night stand with Brody, who is a player on the team, but they don't know each other at the time. Like, it was so smutty, and I did not want that. Not every chapter, but like every chapter. Every chapter I feel had some kind of lusty talk. Every other chapter had like a spice scene, and I just did not prefer to read about that much. And it's not even a long book. It's like 250 pages, so think about that. And then the plot overall, no development happened between the characters because it was so focused on her dad and the whole press situation that like, why were they even there? Like, what was their involvement other than her being the daughter and him being a hockey player, like on the team? We didn't really follow anything about them or their story. Like, what was this book is just my question. 2 out of 5 stars, would not recommend. Alrighty y'all, so those are the 8 books that I read in the month of April. 2 DNFs, which I thought was crazy. I apologize if this was very repetitive for people who also watched my reading vlogs, but if you did not and you want more thoughts, definitely go watch those reading vlogs. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to follow all my socials down below, along with my Goodreads, my Amazon wishlist, stuff like that. Just think on there if you want to check it out. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos by me. And I will see you guys next week for another video. Bye!